Hello, hello, hello. It is Easter weekend. Easter weekend. Um, Yesterday was Good Friday, and then today's Holy Saturday. I can't lie to y'all, man. This Easter feels a lot different. I think now as a true follower, like this Easter feels a lot different. Meaning like that Good Friday, I was actually not kind of, I was actually like sad. Like all day a little bit because when you really think like, oh, it's only good because Jesus died and we know he's gonna come back compared to the alternative when it should have been like us. I think it was like Barnabas. Let me make sure that's how you say his name. Um, it's Barnabas that was supposed to be on the cross crucified, but everybody let him go to crucify Jesus. So it was like a Man, the way I can like think about it, the way I think about it is you go out to eat with your boys, friends, get whatever you want, you eat whatever you want, and you forget your wallet and your heart just drops like, oh man. Kind of like because you think about it like because this the payment for sin is death. So when you think about that, you're like, oh crap, dead. But then of course your friend comes in with the wallet to pay for your meal that you didn't pay for because you didn't have the money on you and you came up short. Think about it. We literally come up short and Jesus slipped in the bill. Hey, I got you. I'm sorry to think related to food, but that's like one of the easiest ways I can think about it when it's like this is way serious. And then like just thinking about how gruesome. They said his body was unrecognizable pretty much. Oh man. There was another part. I'm just gonna go through this a little bit just to kind of just read through this. Um, I'm gonna start. We talked about this last night at church. I think this is Luke 23, and it was like 1 through they did like 1 through 19. Luke 23, 1 through 19. But let's see. I may skip around a little bit. So Jesus before Pilate. Then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate, and they began to accuse him. We found this man misleading our nation, forbidding us to give him tribute to Caesar, and saying and that calling himself Christ, a king. And Pilate asked him, "Are you king of the Jews?" And he answered, "You have said so." And Pilate said to the chief priests in the crowd, "I find no guilt in this man. Don't even find him guilty." But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up people teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee, even this place." So this is Jesus before Herod. When Pilate heard this, he asked whether a man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he didn't belong to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at the time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad, for he had a long desire to see him, because he had heard about him and was hoping to see him some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but he made no answer. The chief priests and scribes stood by, accusing him, and Herod, with his soldiers, treated him with contempt and mocked him. then arrayed him in splendid cloth and sent him back to Pilate. And Herod and Pilate became friends with one another that very day before they had ever seen an entity of each other. Um, Pilate then called together the chief priests and the rulers of the people and said to him, You brought me this man, and who is misleading the people? And after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him. Neither did Herod. He sent him back to look at us. Look, nothing deserving death has been seen by this man. I will therefore punish and release him. This is when Pilate delivered Jesus to be crucified. But but they all cried out together, away with this man and release Barnabas, because I'm pretty sure, like I've seen Passion of the Christ. This is the time where, like on this day during Passover, they can release like one criminal. They can release one criminal, and they released Barnabas, who was like I'm pretty sure he was like a known murderer or something like that. Um, yeah, dude was like a really known bad guy. And you're like, why? Why would he release him and like the guy that people accuse of being bad compared to like somebody that actually has bodies under his belt? But it makes you think like, doesn't that happen with us? That same thing happens with us. It was like, why would we be released of death and Jesus takes all the punishment? Hmm? Mm. Like it's almost like we are all Barnabas in a way. Not getting off scot-free, but it pretty much should have been us on that cross. And fun fact, um, during the Passion of the Christ, the actor that plays Barnabas in this movie, there's a scene in there where he like oh he realizes he's getting off and he like kind of like waves his tongue at the guard and then he like looks at Jesus, but then he goes back and does like a second look staring at Jesus. Now that was the actor's role, and then it turned into like more of like the actual actor, because the actual actor was an atheist going into this film. And that second look, it almost like he really looked at Jesus, and you start to really feel that weight of like, oh, I think I just see. Like he said, he think he's seen Jesus, actually, and kind of realized like what he went through, just to just visualizing what he went through, and like that really should have been me. And that actor became a Christian out like after that. So where was I? A man that you have been thrown into prison and incarceration started in the city for a murderer. Pilate addresses them one more, desiring to release Jesus. So like it's like Pilate really wanted like, yo, I do not want to do this. I do not want to be known as the guy that set Jesus. Because if this guy is who they say he is, I'm done, son. I am done for. But no, like the Pharisees kind of want to, hey, don't blame us. We didn't do it. We just telling you to do it, but we didn't do it, but we did it. And if you release us, we're gonna start something else up. So Pilate addresses them one more, the fact that he's desiring them to release Jesus. But they kept shouting, "Crucify him, crucify, crucify him." The third time he said, "Why? What evil has he done? I found him in no guilt, deserving the death. I will therefore punish him and release him." But they urgent, demanding the loud cries that he should be crucified. and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided and their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown in prison for murder, and for whom they asked, delivered Jesus to their will. Mm. I don't know if I can read this next part, because then it gets really talks more about the crucifixion. And normally I would like go and watch Passion of the Christ, but I don't even think I can this year. Just because like now that I'm a follower, I'm really starting to grasp the weight of the Good Friday and this whole story of like that really, if I look back on my 32 years of life, that really should have been me. That should have been all of us. In some way, we are all Barnabas. And when you really start to see the punishment and the gruesomeness of this man's punishment and realize that should have been you, mm, actually, this is one lady that explains it so well. So well. Let me see if I can find it. I had it queued up. Here it is.
Gee, do you know what Jesus sacrificed? Do you not understand that he committed no sin while he was on the earth, but yet still he allowed his own creation to starve him, beat him? I'm talking about front and back, okay? With a cat of nine tails. Google it and see what that is. Okay? They beat him front and back. They poured his beard out his face, out his chin. They put a cap, a crown of thorns onto his head, and it went straight into his brain. And then they starved him. And then they wouldn't give him no water. And then they took spikes, railroad spikes. We ain't talking about no little nails. We talking about railroad spikes. They laid, back up. They crucified him naked. We've only shown him with a loincloth on to show him respect. But Jesus Christ was crucified buck ball naked. They put him on a wood cross. Put a piece of wood, they call it the titulus because they found it. It's called the titulus. And they put a wood board. They nailed it into the top of his cross. And it said in three different languages, Greek, Hebrew, and Latin, Jesus Christ crucified for insurrection. Three different languages.
Mm.
But we want to walk around and not forgive somebody. We want.
Come on, man. That's that's tough. So, yeah, that's why this Easter hits a lot harder because now that I'm a true follower, I'm really understanding what Jesus went through and how much he loved us enough to take that sin upon him. And how can I not repay the favor by giving my life to him? How can I not repay the favor by turning my life away from sin, by turning away my life from my old life? How can I not? That's like the that's not even like the minimum I owe you right now, right? So they crucified him. And no, it was crazy. This is the crazy part. There was a part in here I was reading, and there was a part here where they talked about, they hung him, they make fun of him while he's on the cross, telling him get down, and then there was a part when he was like pretty much it's finished, and then the criminal there he was on the side of two criminals. One was like, he shouldn't be here with us, and the other criminal was like, oh, if you're the king, get us down here, da da da. Da. The one on the right, obviously, it's always the one on his right. The one on his right is always like the righteous one, the one that's kneeling before him, that understand who he is. Then you always have the one on the left, and that's the Judas. That's the other robber. That's the one that didn't truly believe, right? I'm trying to find the part that talks about how, I mean, I highlighted it. There's a part that talked about how the prophecy came true. And it came true because Jesus, blah, 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 before eyes. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so here it is. Okay, I found it. It's in John chapter 19. John chapter 19. And I'm just gonna say this chapter 28 or John 19 verse 28. After this, Jesus, knowing that all was now finished, to fulfill the scripture, I thirst. So a jar of sour wine stood there, and they put a sponge full of sour wine on a hyssop branch and held it to his mouth. When Jesus received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. Now, this is where it comes. This is the crazy part. This is the crazy part. When they pierced his side, when they pierced Jesus' side. Since on this day of the preparation, and so there the body would not remain on the cross of the Sabbath, for the Sabbath was a high day, and Jews asked Pilate that their legs might be broken and that they be taken away. So the soldiers came to break the legs of the first and of the other who had been crucified. But when they came to Jesus, they saw that he had already been dead, and they did not break his legs. One of the soldiers pierced his side, and it was at that blood and water came out. And that right there was the best thing to show the prophecy happening because during this time, all the sacrifices, they were sacrifice a lamb, sacrifice a lamb, sacrifice a lamb. But they had to be the purest lamb out there. Purest lamb, no broken bones, white as snow, like just complete pure. And by them not breaking his legs, that just showed how pure he was and was the ultimate lamb to be sacrificed for all of us. And it's crazy because even if you think about like what the holiday stood for, that all this was happening, the whole holiday of Passover, when it comes down to what it like stood for, it was more of like it was to worship or to celebrate in the book of Exodus, the Jews leaving slavery, part of the Red Sea, all that stuff. But before that, the Passover came from the tale of the spirit of death coming down. And if people didn't paint uh, the blood of sheep over their walls, the spirit of death will come and pass over and not kill the firstborn. So then the tech for us is like, and only reason why we're not, I think it's in Romans. Romans, I think I saw it. The wages of sin is death. But if you think about us using Jesus' blood over us, over our bodies, so it's like we have that fighting chance to have eternal life. And so this morning, I was doing a workout with my friend Molly, and we were doing the crosswalk. Um, because they were said he had like the cross weighed about 300 pounds, and he walked it about let's say like half a mile or so. But he We were doing it, and the whole time I'm thinking like, bruh, like I have to do all this work just for my death. And she brought up a good point. She brought up an amazing point. Brought up an amazing point when it was like, what did she say? She said, if you knew you were about to die in a couple of days, what would you do? I was like, I don't know. Like, probably get my affairs in order, spend time with my loved ones, stuff like that. She's like, yeah, like most people, they want to see their favorite celebrity, maybe go to Disney World, just do something crazy, right? This man knew he was about to die in a couple of days. What did he do? Wash the feet of all his followers, accept the fact that his one of his friends was going to betray him, accept the fact that he's going to be proven or he was going to be accused, accept the fact that his one of his closest friends was going to like I don't know that man. Come on, man. That right there just shows like how selfish we are. Cause that level of like, all right, man, I already know what's about to happen. Go ahead and do what you gotta do. And not try to save yourself in any way capacity at all. Yes, people are good, but come on, man. You can't tell me you have that level of goodness in your heart. So I just want you to remember that when it comes to this Easter holiday. I mean, like I said, it finally really dug deep in me of this whole Easter story, and I'm excited to get to celebrate the day that he risen with my mom tomorrow. She's flying up, and it's gonna be really beautiful. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.